Welcome to the third season of the Ashlars podcast. We are thrilled about our progress and, more importantly, grateful for your support and encouragement. We are going in strong with ever more energy and passion into the third season of our humble little initiative. That is, to show the true light of Freemasonry by being India's first and only podcast on Freemasonry. In this season, we continue to highlight papers by Indian Masons and showcase the wealth of Masonic knowledge and wisdom in India. Additionally, we will also shine some light on various other degrees beyond the craft, with a view to help Masons discover the true joy of being a Mason and expand their horizons. As a disclaimer, the thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely of the participants and do not represent any official positions, including those of any Grand Lords or constituents thereof. Best efforts have been made to keep the conversation on the level for brethren and non-Masons alike.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to interact and have a discussion. Unlike my previous very orated speakers and brethren, I'm not taking aid of any literature, particularly a particular literature, but a sequence of collections. Thank you that you mentioned about AI and changing times and technology. There is a reference that we will be making subsequently in the discussion. And I also thank our worshipful brother Rinesh, who mentioned about the initiation as the first step into Masonry, and it is very symbolic. Interestingly, I think all of us are probably going to talk about the first degree. I would like to start off with a question, particularly to the Master Masons, because it makes sense to the Master Masons. There are a few here. How many charges are there in total? Charges are there in the craft? There are 6 charges in total. Surprised? The reason why I wanted to allude to this particular term is there are various aspects in Masonry and it is symbolic, right? And we speak about a particular charge that concludes the initiation, wherein we speak about as being ancient and from times immemorial. Now, very normal, it's normal for us to relate this to the times of the Egyptians or a little further, the Babylonians, right? Is it true? In respect to the charge and with respect to our craft. It refers to the era between 1500 to 1600. Whence the formal guilds were meeting. You know, a guild, a Mason's guild is like a lodge. It's like a company, a small group of Masons who had and shared their own secrets, they had their own characteristics. And why are we called as, I think worship brother Rinesh mentioned about free. But why are we called as accepted? What does this term accepted mean? Who is accepting us? Fraternity? Self? Faith? Okay. As I mentioned, during 1500 to 1600, it was only being held by the guild and only for stone masons or masons, more than stone masons, for masons. They started to accept people from other trades within the guild. And that's where you became free and accepted. We accepted you as a speculative Mason. These are very clearly to be understood, because if there are words, if we do not understand the premises on based on which these terms are used, we're just running through. So we are all accepted Masons, barring a few who are practicing Masons, right? Moving forward, we talk about us being a honorable, is it honorable? Fraternity. So is it that something that we are extraordinary, exalted, or what is this honorable has a meaning? Good characters. Okay. So that what differentiates a Mason, particularly a Freemason, from the rest of the world is that of those good characteristics that makes us honorable. And on solid foundation, no institution can boast of more solid foundation than that of Freemasonry. What is that foundation? We mentioned about the 4 cardinal virtues, and the other 3, faith, hope, charity, is the basis on which whole Masonry works. These are the 7. Quite often we are only emphasizing on one. In fact, even the charge of the initiation says, of these few are secrecy, fidelity and obedience. If none of these are followed, we do not have a solid foundation, and we are taught to more focus on charity. Is Masonry only for charity? Is a question that each one of us ask, because even the charge says that it did not dilate on its excellences. We are all Masons, or we are qualified to be accepted here because we have that quality. We did not have to dilate on its excellences. Please continue to do it. There are other aspects of excellences that we need to imbibe in us. That's when we become honorable. And we speak about exchanging in from scepter for the troll. When did this happen? Again, this was during the period of 1500 to 1600s. That's when it started. They felt it became more honorable to be amongst people who held high esteem, who held high morals. So Masonry rests on high morals. And moving forward, there is one aspect within the charge after initiation. Okay, I'll just take a break of the various charges. Now I spoke about 6 charges in the craft, right? What are the other things called as, and why is it called a charge? What do you mean by charge? While you charge, you are drawing an injunction. You are exhorting our brother to say, these are the things you must follow. Would it be good that a younger brother do this, or someone of high experience and right? So do you understand who has to do these charges? However, in the recent times, for the familiarity of these charges, the younger brethren have started to deliver these things. Good, it's good. It's good to deliver, or rather to say, to get acquainted and get familiarized with these charges. But a charge necessarily must be given by a past master or a master mason of good standing, or at least for 2 to 3 years, who's regular and who understands. The reason is you are charging, you're exalting him. Later in the evening, the candidate may come and approach you, the one who has given the charge, and ask him for an explanation. It could have, it should have. That's how Masonry progresses. Having mentioned about that aspect of the difference between charge and the other explanations, moving forward, the importance that happens in when we deliver the working tools in the first degree, which is essential for a Mason or a Freemason. Importance of education, and if the hands may not be prompt to execute the design, having a chisel and the mallet, right? And our brother said about tools. These are tools. If they are not applied for execution, it does not have any impact on you yourself being an honorable member of this society. That it's trying to re-emphasize that these various morals have to be practiced within as much as without. While the interpretations of the whole ceremony are permitted for each candidate to perceive as he may. Because all of which is called symbolic and with allegory have no particular derived intention. Then they are not symbolic, or there is no allegory here, right? As much as we might have our scriptures, that how and in what manner it appeals to you is different to the one besides you, right? The Holy Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavad Gita, when you read, it may mean something. The same chapter, the same verses may convey something to me and something else to another person just sitting beside me at the same time, reading it along. Why is this so? It is according to the circumstances under which a candidate is. And this is why it is encouraged and always recommended that as Freemasons that you attend the lodge meeting regularly. It isn't repetitive. Every time you look through it, try to contemplate on it, and you might find newer meanings that emerge. It might answer to you in different sense. Because these younger brethren who come in and say, okay, I was expecting something. There are a lot of things about Masonry on the net. Thank you, AI, with sense or no sense, like we already said. They come and they have different expectations of Masonry. And they said, is this all? You repeat, there's a repetition. You need to help them understand that a subject such as this needs a little bit of contemplation. And that is why we say that this needs to be done in some sort of this. What of the ceremony need not be disturbed? The sanctity of the ceremony. So all of us are trying to contemplate and meditate. Thanks to technology, I shouldn't be preaching because I too occasionally are tempted by the technology, right? So with that, I'd like to conclude my small I wouldn't call it a discourse, a discussion. If I'm open to some questions, because much so for the younger brethren, what is it that you expect when you enter in? The whole process, perambulation we speak about, it is a birth of a Mason. Please try to contemplate on these terms. You may see different versions and different meanings coming out, and that's when you will understand why a Mason is born during initiation. I'm open to questions. If there are any, else I would invite the next speaker. Thank you.
That's all, folks. We sincerely hope that you liked our episode and got a glimpse into the fascinating world of Freemasonry. If you have any queries about what we have shared on the podcast or about Freemasonry in general, please check out the show notes for links to the Grand Lodge of India's website, or write us an email, which is theashlaspodcast@gmail.com.